Hello. Okay, going quiet.
What's going on, everybody? This is your host, Logan Chesney with Sports Bros Podcast. And with me, as always, we have Justin Peck. How's it going, Justin?
It's going pretty good. How are you doing, Logan?
I am doing wonderful. Had a crazy weekend, but we'll get to that here shortly with the Super Bowl and everything going on. But like always, we have a list of topics we want to talk about. Anywhere from the NFL to the NHL to MLB to the NBA and even into that NASCAR this weekend. Um, but before that, as always, we have our week to week recap. Let everybody know how our week's been and everything. So, Justin, how is your week been?
Uh, Getting back to the normal, so to speak, of what I've been used to for preseason, kind of. Orders are starting to come in, and I've just been at the office every day, counting, sorting, and passing everything out and getting things ready for our guys to come to training camp next week, Monday. When they show up on Monday, I'll be passing everything out, meeting everybody, and getting stuff squared away. So it's been a pretty uneventful last week and a half. Not doing a whole lot outside of work, but it has been very busy. And with the little bit of time off that I have gotten to get, I have gone out and explored Bismarck here and there a little bit to since I want to get to know the area a little bit, just in case I do actually want to permanently move out here. Call me crazy, but it is possible with jobs here. But yeah, it just work, and I'm excited for the guys to show up here next week.
Well, yeah, I would be too with the position you're in. It's usually uneventful except for at the start of the season when you got to get everything in order so that when the players show up first day of camp, it's there and ready for them. So yeah, I can see how it could be a little bit of a busy weekend outside of your daily life in your spot. But anyways, you Super Bowl weekend. You remember what I said? My prediction was in our last podcast.
I do.
What was it?
Rams.
By
Don't remember the score, but I know you predicted the Rams.
Rams by 3. What was the final score of last night's game?
23-20.
Yeah, I kicked my ass over that because decided to go out to the casino and hit the sports book out there, like always for the Super Bowl. And as always, I'm like, I'll play it safe, so I'm not really losing money if I do lose the bet. Blah blah blah. Knowing that my prediction of a 3-point win for Rams was probably going to be true, I decided to play the money line instead of the score line. And now I kick myself in the ass for doing so, like every year. So it's been eventful. I had a few squares with a guy at work for the Super Bowl that I. If I'm looking at it right, I should win $20 off of that. But other than that, it's been uneventful for the weekend. Other than the Super Bowl, blood pressure probably went up a little bit during the Super Bowl as I was yelling at the TV and cussing out Stafford for fucking up every time. Love the guy dearly, but some of those things shouldn't have happened. Some of them weren't his fault. Some of them were. But other than that, it was uneventful for me as well. So,
Well, at least your bet didn't cost you almost $10 million.
well,
So
yeah,
that's,
I'm not that stupid.
and we'll get into that here later on.
Yeah. So with that being said, we might as well get into our show. It looks like we might have a little bit of a lengthy one than normal this time. So let's get into it with Major League Baseball draft DH hitters. Owners agreeing on it. What's going on?
As far as the season starting on time, the MLB and the MLB Players Association are still butting at it and trying to figure out what the hell they can do to make everybody happy. But the owners did get together and they all agree that they want to have a universal designated hitter. I disagree. I think that every I think it should be an option, not mandatory, because if you look at what's happened in the past when pitchers come to the plate for an at bat, yeah, I get it. Play it safe, do a ground out, do a hit and run, do sacrifice, whatever you want to do to save his arm. And that's fine. But you get the 1 in a million rarest of opportunities to where a pitcher gets excited and the team is excited for you for getting a monstrous hit. A great example would be Bartolo Colon hitting his first ever home run as a pitcher at the plate. Basically, almost never getting a hit before in his entire career as a pitcher, past a single, and he's never hit a home run before in his life, and he gets one during one of his starts.
Right.
You cannot script this. You cannot try and predict this. These are things that happen out of nowhere that is why the game of baseball is so great. The unexpected happens.
Yeah.
So,
Just like any kind of sport, the unexpected can always happen. It's
yeah.
just
And
when.
I can see it why they want to have a universal DH, simply because the pitchers want to be able to rest their arm entirely and not have to worry about an at bat. But I think that should be their option and not the GMs and Robert Manfred and everybody else who's involved with that. I think it should be let the two teams discuss it before they play each other, and that way the lineup cards are all ready to go instead of like trying. I because the matchups are already the pitching matchups are already linked in ahead of time before the teams even play because the pitchers have a 5 pitcher rotation.
Yeah.
But the lineup cards aren't always the same. So I say let it happen before the series. Have the two coaches or the two managers talk to each other before the season series starts and talk to see if they want a DH or not. American League has done it for years. They've always had a DH, and I get that. That's fine. That's the American League. But when you do interleague play, American versus National League, let them decide. Don't just automatically have a rule.
Right.
Let the players dictate what happens. That's what they're there for. They're there to play for the fans.
Well, and obviously the players' union all voted for the universal DH. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure a deal wouldn't have come so quickly over it.
Was this the players or the owners that agreed to it?
Well, when it comes to anything with the union, from what I know, the union has to be involved, and since these players have a union, they have to involve that union with any decision with the league, no matter what. because they can cause the league to actually have to shut down because they can refuse to play.
All right.
Since there's a players union, the players union can strike. They can do that. So the MLB as a whole has to be cautious on their decisions and everything, because if the players union does not like it, they could go to a vote as a union and strike against the MLB if they chose to.
Right.
So I would assume that they were probably involved in on this and that they got the information from the MLB. They turned around, presented it to the players union. The players union then discussed it, voted on it, and this is the outcome.
And this also gives more position players a chance to get in the game, and I do see that because a lot of times when you do National League play or interleague play, those extra position players just sit on the bench and twiddle their thumbs waiting for something to happen.
Exactly. So I very well could see that this was a whole decision by all parties that would be involved. It wouldn't be just the managers or coaches and MLB for that. So, anyways, with that being said, Joe West retires after several years of, I'm guessing he's an umpire?
Correct. One of the oldest guys in the game, and for as long as he's been an umpire, Joe West, the 69-year-old umpire, is officially retiring from the game of baseball. He has collectively umpired 5,460 games.
Wow. Yeah, that's a long career, especially since that's what, 4 digits long for games that he's umpired, and there's what, 160 in a season?
Yeah.
So you could say he probably umped, what, a third of those in a season?
The 69-year-old Joe West first worked a big league game on September 14th, 1976, at third base in Atlanta when the Braves hosted the Houston Astros.
Okay.
His final game was on October 8th when he worked home plate at Dodger Stadium for the National League wildcard game between the Dodgers and the Cardinals.
And that was a good game, too.
That was a very wild game. He has set the record for regular season games on May 25th when he worked the plate for the game between the Chicago White Sox and the Cardinals. And I believe it was, yes, so he set the record for the most games umpired in a regular season this past year on the 25th, and just continued to build from it up until his final plate appearance behind the dish.
Yeah. With that being
And
said, we do have, you can continue talking, but we do have a video. I'll get that ready.
a lot of the players respect him and love him as an umpire, and will show in this clip that he's one of the most respected guys in the game, and he has had his moments. Players try to have fun with him as an umpire and try to make him laugh, giggle, joke around, and those are the types of people we want to have around in the game of baseball.
Well, yeah. So,
He's been with the Padres, now with Oakland. Come on, was that a? Somebody just take a picture? Yeah, Cruz brought up his phone. And,
no way.
Wants a picture with Joe West. Hey, 5,000 games.
Oh, this guy's in the game. And then he puts his phone in his pocket. That's funny. I like that. Anyways.
Yeah, so players know when umpires are going to retire, or they know that they won't be around for much longer, and they want to make memories. And getting a picture with an umpire during a game before your plate appearance and you bring your phone out, like it doesn't get more genuine than that.
Well, yeah, and for the ump to even allow it is even more genuine.
Yeah. So it and the fact that in that video Joe West is almost hysterical, like, is this actually happening? Like, are you kidding me right now? You actually are bringing a phone out to get a picture with me in the middle of a game?
Right?
You're
Yeah. Yeah, not all umpires are like that. They probably would have said something about that because it's unusual for one, a fan to bring a phone out to home plate, and two, to ask for a photo with a guy.
yeah. I just but I wish him the best as retirement and the game of baseball. Will miss him dearly.
Well, yeah, he played a big role in the MLB, and he definitely, whoever tries to take the position has some very, very big shoes to fill because he was a major part of the MLB.
There aren't many true characters in the world of Major League Baseball umpires, and so we truly do need more of them.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So, with that being said, this is Super Bowl, well, post Super Bowl weekend. We are going to get into some NFL news here with Russell Wilson wanting to know his options for a trade. So, it kind of sounds like Russell Wilson isn't really happy with Seattle or possibly the coaching staff and wants to see where he could possibly end up. Which for Seattle, he's going to be a big hole to fill.
Yes. The article that I just read, and I'm sure you and I are on different things about on different articles. But the one that I just read was that Seattle does not have a plan currently to trade Russell Wilson. They are planning. They don't know what's going on. They don't have any intentions of trading him, but they also don't. They're really not sure if they're going to keep him. Right now, they're just kind of playing their cards and seeing how it goes.
Right. Yeah, I could see the staffing group over at Seattle not wanting to trade a all-star quarterback like Russell Wilson, but at the same time, he's not going to be happy there. They might as well do something to make sure that it doesn't trickle into the locker room and affecting the way players are performing out on the field, on practice, and in the off season because that could affect their season as a whole. So I mean, yeah, you don't want to trade somebody like him, but at the same time, it's going to be hard to keep him happy also.
Right.
So I mean, they're in a drought of playoffs and Super Bowl appearances. I think the last one was 2015, 2016, someplace in there. So he's probably ready to try and go off to another team and almost do like what Tom Brady did and go to another team and win a Super Bowl. So, which that brings us into, is Brady really retiring? He had made it official, what? Week before the Super Bowl, 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, that he is retiring officially. But now rumors are surfacing that he may come back too. Honestly,
Yeah.
honestly, my personal opinion, he needs to retire and stay retired.
Yeah. Tampa Bay is leaving the door open in case he does change his mind and want to come back and play again. But I I agree with that. What more do you have to play for other
Well,
than
exactly.
injury? You've won 7 Super Bowls. You're gonna go to the Hall of Fame, and your name is basically in as a legend for being the greatest quarterback in your era.
Yeah. I mean, he's already etched his legacy into the NFL, there's nothing more for him to do other than just keep adding rings to his hands. And honestly, what he's done has been pretty impressive for the most part. At this point, I would be hanging up my cleats and calling it a day and enjoying the rest of my life.
I would too.
So,
There's nothing else to play for. You're already great. Just focus on being a dad.
well, yeah, pretty much. You have a family. Focus on that. Yeah, you could show up to games, go to games, make appearances. Hell, who knows? You may even become a broadcaster someday. But if this ever gets out there before he makes his decision, Tom, do not come back. Stay retired. Do not pull the Brett Favre move and go to a third team or come out of retirement because you think you still have it. You may still have it. Go out on top. You've got what? 7, 8 rings,
He's
multiple
basically
Pro
awarded
Bowl
every.
appearances.
You basically have every award there is to win in the NFL.
Yeah, especially at your position. So, by the slim chance he, for some reason, hears this podcast, I don't think he will, but you never know. Tom, retire. It is your time for retirement to go enjoy life with your wife and kids. Don't take the risk of getting hurt or worse to where it could be permanent and affect your well-being of life for the long term. So I would very, very much suggest stay retiring.
Be the family man, and now that you have called it a career, hopefully, your kids have loved seeing you play. There's no doubt in my mind that they love going to watch dad play all the time and meet all the cool players in the locker room and to have a great bond with them. But they also miss dad at home.
Well, and that's just
And
it. This is Tom Brady. He could literally probably walk into any stadium and say, "Hey, my kids want to meet the team," and they'd let him do it.
exactly.
So it's not like he's gonna be out of the loop when it comes to the NFL. He just won't be every Sunday suiting up and going out onto the field and performing. It could be, hey, we're in Tampa Bay this week. We're gonna go to a Buccaneers game and show up. Yeah, I'll probably steal some of the thunder from the team since I'm there. But you're still gonna be treated like one of the greats of the sport, no matter where you go. You're gonna get that all-star treatment no matter what.
Yep, absolutely.
So it's been a great run, a great legacy for the most part. He needs to do exactly what Ben Roethlisberger's doing, and that's retiring and staying retired. No plans to go back. No, he needs to literally go out there and say, "Hey, I have no plans of coming back. You guys need to stop coming up with these stories of there's a possibility," because he needs to hit those on the head and make them stop because he's at that point he's just allowing them to ruin his legacy.
Exactly.
So, and speaking of awards, I did not watch the award ceremony for the NFL. I'm guessing you did.
I watched part of it, and there were a couple of names that popped up that I did enjoy watching because they do truly deserve it. Um, with the Bengals being in the Super Bowl, they had two players right off the bat win an award. Three total, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Correction, four of them. Four of them. So first is the Pepsi Rookie of the Year. Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase won that one.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
AP Offensive Rookie of the Year. Also, Jamar Chase, wide receiver, offensive rookie of the year. Great choice. AP comeback player of the year. Give you a guess of who won that one.
The same guy as the first two?
Not quite. Quarterback Joe Burrow.
Oh.
Comeback player of the year. As far as where's the other? I just saw another. Okay. This last one. This is the Courtyard Unstoppable Performance of the Year. Week 17 versus the Chiefs. Joe Burrow versus the Chiefs in Week 17.
Mm-hmm.
So Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow combined for 4 awards for the Cincinnati Bengals in this award show.
Damn.
Well deserving. Your team made it to the Super Bowl. You guys have a lot to be proud of. The AP Defensive Player of the Year. Pass rusher TJ Watt. Honestly, no surprise there.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all.
The Bridgestone Best Moment of the Year would be Justin Tucker's 66-yard field goal breaking the previous record. Baltimore Ravens kicker Justin Tucker breaking a record.
At Detroit, I may add.
At Detroit. So, granted, there is a little bit of favoritism there because it's not an outdoor stadium where weather's a factor. It's an indoor, so it's perfect conditions. But that still doesn't take away the fact that he broke a record, and it'll might not be done for quite some time anymore.
Well, look how long it took for just him to break it.
Yeah. AP Offensive Player of the Year. Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp.
He definitely deserved
Honestly,
it.
no shocker there. The AP Defensive Rookie of the Year. Cowboys linebacker Micah Parsons. Honestly, these are really no shockers based on how they played this year and throughout the fantasy teams and throughout the fantasy weeks that you and I have had
Well, yeah.
and have kept in our league.
Yeah.
This is what killed us.
Yep.
These are what killed all of us. The AP Assistant Coach of the Year, Dallas Cowboys Defensive Coordinator Dan Quinn.
Yep, I can see that.
Dallas really stepped it up on defense this year. Very well deserving award. The Deacon Jones Sack Leader Award. No shocker there. TJ Watt, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
And the FedEx Air and Ground Players of the Year. Tampa Bay's quarterback Tom Brady and the Indianapolis Colts running back Jonathan Taylor. This is where I think it could be a little iffy that others were definitely in the running for. Now, granted, all of these awards have 3-4 guys that are up for this award, just like you would in the Heisman Trophy race.
Right.
But this one is where I really believe is where the players of the year is where it gets really iffy that it's like, oh, it could be this guy or oh, it could be this guy, and it's neck and neck to the final one. There are so many players this past year that have truly shown that they could have been the players of the year.
Right.
I mean, look what Matthew Stafford just did.
Yeah.
He went from the Detroit Lions to the Los Angeles Rams and won a Super Bowl in his very first year. 12 years of heartbreak in Detroit, never winning a playoff game before, and winning 3 straight.
Yeah. And then winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah. You could also make a statement about Joe Burrow. having an unreal season this year.
Yeah.
Everybody was counting Cincinnati out, and look what they did. They turned it around and they made it to the Super Bowl.
Well, they were definitely marked as the biggest underdog in the playoffs.
And the MVP really could have been debatable because everyone's talking about it, but Aaron Rodgers won the MVP.
Yep.
And this is where I think is a good award. AP Coach of the Year. Tennessee Titans head coach Mike Vrabel. With everything he's done outside of the organization, I believe is where he wins this award. He does so much. He does so much giving back to the community, his partnerships, and all of these different organizations and nonprofits that he's. I'm surprised he's ever inside of his house.
Oh yeah.
He does so many different appearances for all these different charities, and it truly makes a difference. And I firmly believe that he is one of the best out there and is absolutely 100% deserving of this award.
Well, yeah, and I mean, if you look how much money he put into those organizations and not expecting to get anything back is short of phenomenal. So,
With that, let's get on to the main point of the evening. This past weekend, excuse me.
the Super Bowl?
Super Bowl it is.
It is. Honestly, to start off this with, I hadn't realized how many players for the Bengals never played college ball. I don't know if you were watching or were listening when they were doing starting lineups, but there was half a dozen to a dozen players on the starting roster for the Bengals that when they were saying their schools, it wasn't a college, it was a high school that they were saying.
I kind of picked up on that too, and I actually had to do research to figure out where these schools were to know where these kids were coming from.
Yeah.
And I was shocked as well. It's like you don't see that anymore.
No.
You see it oftentimes. You see it in Major League Baseball where high school kids are choosing between going to the draft because they can throw 90 some miles an hour, or they've got a lot of hitting power and can field, so they got to choose between college or the draft.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever seen it to where there's 6 players in a draft that don't go to college because they're just so good at high school.
Yeah.
See, I've never seen that in the NFL before.
It's been a long time. Like, I haven't seen or heard of a high school player going to the pros and not having a ounce of college background on them at all.
It shows a lot to the organizations that draft them to where how much you believe in this kid. And it is I would almost say that's not even a huge gamble. It's probably the biggest gamble you'll ever have in your career.
Well, yeah.
Risking a lot of money on a high school kid, but look at how amazing it's turned out for those guys. Like, you could not have taken a better risk.
Yeah.
You truly know what you're doing, and you will keep your job for a long time.
Yeah, like I was talking with my wife and I brought it up to her because she was at work. I was like, "You gotta be one hell of a player in high school to attract the attention of the scouts of an NFL team." Period. Like, that is a very hard thing to do.
Let alone try to get your name out there to colleges.
Yeah. Yep. So for players to do this kind of work and be able to um, attract the attention of the NFL at a high school level means they're not just ready for the NFL, but they're more than ready for the NFL.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways,
But
moving on from that, it, I would say the Rams had a hot start, and then once their star wide receivers, other than Cooper Cup, were out of the game due to injury, they struggled big time, especially with OBJ being out of the game. They felt that a lot. And they were able to persevere the fact that they did not have their two star players in there. And towards the end of the fourth quarter, Cooper Cup and Matthew Stafford said, "All right, let's do this. We're going to take control of this game." And wow, did they ever take control of that game. It didn't matter where Cooper Cup was in the field. If he was single covered, double covered, he was force feeding that ball right to the chest of Cooper Cup, and it was working.
yeah, watching the second half of that game honestly reminded me of the way Matthew Stafford would throw to Calvin Johnson when those two were playing together with the Lions.
Yeah.
So that is just chemistry that you can't figure out because those two have their own language and they do their own thing and it just works.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It was amazing at the least to watch those two being synchronized that well to be able to march down the field for 75 yards, 15 plays for the game-winning drive to win the Super Bowl, and then to have the Rams defense to go out there and to watch Aaron Donald, a pissed off Aaron Donald, just wreck the line for 4 downs in a row was just amazing.
That is the definition of wanting it more. That's all it is. He was double teamed, I think, on that third down play and managed to get one arm wrapped around the running back to pull him back from going any further.
Yeah.
And then, what was it? Double teamed again on fourth down and just slid right by him?
Yeah. Got through the line, got to Joe Burrow, and was able to bring him down. Now, Joe Burrow was able to get rid of the ball, so Aaron Donald was not credited for a sack. But to put that kind of pressure that quick on a quarterback that all game long was holding onto the ball maybe 3 seconds before he was throwing it after the snap is phenomenal. That shows how much just Aaron Donald alone wanted that win.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the stat sheet's only going to show a number as far as quarterback pressured, but give him the incomplete pass on that fourth down play.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald made that happen.
Yeah. He was like a caged lion on that last possession for the Bengals, just ripping through the bars to get at Joe Burrow, and holy crap. Like, if he does not retire, the Rams will be counting their prayers because he's going to want to get back there next year and he's going to do whatever it takes to get back to that Super Bowl, and wow, I mean, he was going off.
Yeah, you. I I could tell that the Bengals had tried to prepare for him on the offensive line, but you can't tame that lion.
No,
No.
I mean,
And
I think
coming
what
from the,
sparked it was that fight in the first half too.
oh, absolutely, 100%.
So it I will say that second half actually probably boiled my fucking blood because of how they were playing. But they came out with the win, and that's all that needed to happen.
And yet, being in Michigan, I know a lot of Lions fans were like, okay, we've seen a lot of fourth quarter comebacks. Are we going to see another one?
Yeah.
Like, how often have we seen a Matthew Stafford fourth quarter comeback win in the city of Detroit?
At least handful of times the 12 years he was there.
Truthfully, way too many.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. A handful per season every for the 12 years he was there. So you're looking 5 to 6 a season times 12 over 100, I think. Something like that.
So when Los Angeles gets the ball with 6 minutes left to go, I'm sure everyone in the state of Michigan and the city of Detroit was like, all right, this is where he shines, and they're going to get a 5 minute drive to kill clock and get this ball over with.
Honestly,
That
I'm
is
surprised it wasn't longer just to make sure that they didn't have enough time to fucking go down the field and score to take that win away from Stafford. I mean, the instant they were down on the half-yard line, it was game over for Cincinnati. I knew it immediately, unless if they had a miracle stop for Stafford and Cooper Kupp, it was game over for Cincinnati. They had the win in the bag, and all that had to come down to was the defense stopping them on in 4 downs.
Yeah, and that was what I was saying at the party that I was at last night, and I was the only Rams fan at that party. Everybody else wanted Cincinnati. So I was one of the happiest guys I could ever be last night. But I kept saying, I'm like, you guys stop throwing the football and run the damn ball, because if you give Joe Burrow a chance, he's going to take it.
Yeah.
Look what happened a couple weeks ago. He only needed 13 seconds to go 75 yards and win that game for Cincinnati to get them to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
13 seconds to go 75 yards with only one timeout.
Yeah.
If any timeouts for that matter. I don't know what the official timeout was for that game.
Well, look at the Super Bowl. The start of the second half, Cincinnati got the ball. They didn't run it back on the kickoff, so it was a full 15-minute clock. One play went 75 yards. One play. And it took, 15 seconds off the clock?
Yeah. Like that's all he needs.
Yep.
He doesn't need much more time than that.
It only takes one mistake on the defense to make a play be bigger than it should have been.
Yeah, so once Los Angeles had that ball with 6 minutes left, I firmly believed that Stafford was going to have a game-winning drive. I just didn't know how much time was going to be left.
Yeah.
And once I knew how much time was left, that's when I started getting a little bit nervous. But I had faith in the Rams defense to pull it off. But dear God, was it nerve-wracking.
Oh yeah, I wasn't even sitting down for that last 6 minutes of the game. I was
Oh,
standing
no.
the entire time.
Oh, hell yeah. That is not sit-down football. That is on the edge of excitement, hoping and praying that you will get this done.
Yeah. Like, the emotions that were coming out of the Rams player. I mean, they panned over to OBJ, and he was in tears because they just won this game. Aaron Donald running down the field, ripping his helmet off and pointing at his ring finger. You knew they wanted it more than Cincinnati with that kind of emotion, knowing you just won that game.
Yeah. And I don't know if you saw this in the headlines today or yesterday, but I believe let me actually get this right. Shortly after the Los Angeles Rams won the Super Bowl, Rams wide receiver Van Jefferson immediately changed clothes, grabbed his daughter that was there with him, and rushed to the hospital because his wife was having a baby.
Really? I did not
Yes.
see that.
His wife was at the hospital in labor during the game and told one of the staff members to not tell her husband until the game was over because she wanted him to have that experience,
Right?
then come and be with her.
Yeah.
Now, that says a lot about your spouse and how much she believes and knows how much you love the game of football.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you've seen this headline. I seen it. My mouth hit the floor. I don't remember. I'll have to research it. Let me look really quick.
I did also see that there was an engagement on the field
That's
afterward.
exactly what I am talking about. Taylor Rapp, who is I believe, wide receiver for the Rams, got down on one knee after the game and proposed to his girlfriend.
Those are special moments that it just means so much. Like it doesn't. Yeah, you win the Super Bowl, you win the Lombardi Trophy. It's great and all that, and you're gonna go out and party. The emotions that come from that game make you want to do everything else.
So, just a second, I'm going to make sure I don't. There we go. Just because I can. And I'm going to. This is what we're talking about. And the lucky lady's name is Danny Johnson. So we had a player run off to go be with his wife as she's having his child, a proposal, and a quarterback that's been in the league for 12 years never had been to a playoff to where they had won the playoff game in those 12 years, win his first Super Bowl in the first season with his new team. With that being said, do you know the two probably not really newsworthy things about the Super Bowl that was a part of the Super Bowl? Justin?
Can't say that I do off the top of my head.
Both quarterbacks for both teams were number one picks in their draft.
You know, I did see that.
Both quarterbacks wore the number 9.
That's correct.
So,
Now, one thing I did notice as well was that it was the first Super Bowl of the two youngest head coaches in the league.
yep.
36 and 38 years old.
And if I remember right, I have to check my sources. But if I remember right, this is the first time the Super Bowl has been in LA since the Super Bowl won.
Really?
Yes. It hasn't been in Los Angeles since the very first Super Bowl.
Wow. That's very surprising.
So, yeah.
And yet, another record that'll probably never be broken. 2 Super Bowls in a row where the host team played it on their home field and won it on their home field.
Yeah.
You could not have given us a more perfect Super Bowl than this year.
Agreed.
You combine that game and the halftime show you provided us, that is now the top tier of Super Bowls. You have to shoot for higher, which I don't know if that's even possible.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I was bobbing my head through that entire halftime show.
Oh, 100%. If you weren't bobbing your head at that halftime show the whole time it was gone, or if you weren't singing along and dancing and making an absolute fool out of yourself, just go. Like, just go away. You don't need to be here.
Yeah. So take out what? 4 games, so about 178 someplace in there games Matthew Stafford has started in. Wait, no, it's more than that. Let's see here. No, yeah. About 178 games Matthew Stafford has started in his career before he had won his first playoff game. In his 12 years, 13 years in the league, 178 games it took him to get to even a playoff win. That's impressive.
Yeah, that's a long drought to go through.
Yeah. So, hats off to him on being able to play that many games and not come away with a playoff win until
That's almost like playing an entire Major League Baseball season without getting a win.
yeah, pretty much.
Major League Baseball, I believe, plays 182 games a year.
Yeah.
Or 162.
I think it's 162, and he played a total of 182 games in his career starting. And out of the 182, you take off 3 or 4 for this year's playoffs off of that, and that's how many games he went without winning a playoff game in his career. Those are all regular season games.
Absolutely unbelievable.
So it is very phenomenal that he even stuck with this sport that long, not being able to, one, make a playoff, and if you did, you lost in the first round, to stick with it and say, you know what, I'm done, I'm hanging out my cleats. So,
yeah, he did. Truly, absolutely well deserving and much deserved.
yeah.
And you can tell by the celebration that he had after the game that it was not about him. He is still the same humble guy that he always has been.
And in a post-game interview, I don't remember which station it was with, he is quoted as saying he felt the support from Detroit. It takes a special fan base to support a former player of their team all the way across the country, like the fans of Detroit. So he even credits his career at Detroit that got him to where he is today.
And that is why a lot of merchandise stores in the state of Michigan have created Detroit Rams shirts, and they are selling out.
Oh yeah.
This Lions fan base loves Matthew Stafford, and he truly does love the city of Detroit.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I remember Kelly saying that if they won the Super Bowl, they do have plans to come back to Detroit and visit with friends, family, and go to their places that they like to hang out in Detroit when they were here, just to kind of celebrate with their fans here in Michigan.
Oh, absolutely. That 100%. I remember that interview. I remember what you're talking about, but I don't remember the full interview. But I do remember hearing that, and that is what made them great.
Yeah.
Regardless of his career, regardless of how many wins and losses he had in Detroit, which I know is about as lopsided as you could be.
Yeah.
It's what makes the people, and Detroit makes people.
Yes. They
Kelly Stafford had all three of her kids in the same hospital in Detroit.
Yep.
She purposely went to the other hospital where she had her two previous kids because she didn't like where the other hospital was, and she knew the staff at the other place.
Yeah.
She was closer to a different hospital and asked personally to go have her child somewhere else because of the people and the support that she got from the other hospital staff.
Yep.
When a community gives back to you the same way you give back to the community, there's no match and there's no place like it.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's phenomenal on what can happen when you present yourself the way that the Stafford family does to any community. I mean, LA opened their arms and welcomed the Stafford family graciously when they arrived, just as well as we did here in Detroit. And they're going to make the same kind of connections over in LA. They're going to have the same kind of fan base and treatment that they got in Detroit. And that's phenomenal for them because not every player has that kind of following behind them and that kind of support when they leave one team to go to another, that fan base, no matter what you're doing, will have your back.
Right.
So, with that being said, that's the ups of the Super Bowl. Downs, well, a lot of people like to bet money on it. A lot of people like to lose that money on it. I'm just as guilty. But I'm not as dumb as this furniture salesman who made a massive bet and lost it all.
Yeah, Mattress Mac is what he's called. Lost $9.5 million in a Super Bowl bet. He should have taken the points.
Yeah.
It's what was it? He bet last year. In last year's Super Bowl, he bet nearly $3.5 million on a 3.5 point spread involving Tampa Bay to cover over the Chiefs. Did you learn nothing from that bet?
Speaking of that, because I just threw his name in Mattress Matt Bet 2021. In the 2021 World Series, he bet even more. He bet $13 million on Houston Astros to take it off. And the Astros lost to the Atlanta Braves in 5 games. So,
Listen, he placed a bet on the national championship.
yeah.
He put $2.7 million on a bet that Alabama would win over Georgia. He put as 3-point favorites. So he bet on Alabama to win against Georgia as a 3-point favorite. Dude, what are you doing?
How much did you say that bet was?
The national championship bet was $2.7 million.
And how much for the Super Bowl?
9.5.
Okay. I'm reading an article here. I have a feeling it was more. Because this says right here, Mattress Mac, a furniture salesman from Texas, bet at least $9.5 million on the Bengals to win it in Super Bowl 56. ESPN reported his first bet was $4.5 million was placed into his account with Caesars Sportsbook. The company said it was the second highest bet they have taken on the Super Bowl. So why do I have a feeling that he lost more than just $9.5 million when just last year he lost $13 million on the World Series?
I don't know. But if he would have been smart and taken the points, and Cincinnati covered the 4.5 spread, which they would have, he would have netted $16.15 million.
Yeah. So in other words, I may actually follow this for next year just to see how it works out for me. I'm going to follow this Mattress Max bidding. And when it comes to Super Bowl 57, before I go to my sports book and place my bet, I'm going to see what he's betting on and do the complete freaking opposite, because I have a higher chance of winning than he does at this point.
Hey, you got to do what the statistics tell you to do.
And the statistics tell me if he bets on one team, you bet on the other. Because apparently he's like a freaking curse for whoever he bets on, because they've lost every time.
Man, you just can't get more unlucky than that.
I know. Let's see. 9.5 in the Super Bowl, 13 in the World Series, 4-something in the national championship for college. So we're looking at 13, 22, about $27 million he's lost in 2 years.
That's a lot of dough.
I mean, if he's just handing out fucking money like that, you can come pay my house off, pay my motorhome off. You can come pay it all off for me. If you're willing to lose money that easy, you could just give it away to me. I'm perfectly fine with it.
You're better off throwing that money in a river and just letting people fight for it if you're going to just throw away money.
I mean, we could... If he wants to lose money that bad, take the money he lost, go throw it in the hood of some city, and then start betting on that fight on who's going to freaking walk away with the money. Because obviously he doesn't know how to protect his wallet too much that he can walk into where you can do sports betting and throw that kind of dough down without blinking an eye.
I would love to know how big of an idiot he feels after losing 3 consecutive significantly million-dollar bets in a row.
If I had to guess, he doesn't feel like an idiot because he did it 3 times in a row. He obviously has enough money to blow that he can just blow it like that.
Must be nice.
Yeah. Agreed. Let's see.
I mean,
here.
I throw away money too, but if I could throw away that kind of money, shit.
Yeah, he has money because let's see here. His net worth is estimated to be $300 million.
So he just pissed off 20% of his estate.
Yeah. He pretty much can't have steak for a month.
That's losing $20 on a $100 bill. That's almost nothing.
Yeah. So he was betting 20% of what his net worth is. Pretty sure he's not crying that he just lost that kind of cash in 2 years.
But he is the talk. So if publicity is what he wants and brings in business, he sure as hell gets it.
Well, he's probably having people walk in the door that want to meet him, and in order to meet him, you better be buying some furniture.
And that's the play right there. If you want to meet me and talk to me about why I did it, buy a piece of furniture, then we can talk.
Yep. And I mean, he
That's
will probably make that money back in a year.
Guaranteed. Well, with that one, that's all the NFL talk I have for today, unless you have anything else.
No, other than the fact that I see why he's worth so much.
Uh-oh.
You want to know why he is worth so much?
Do tell.
Guess what he owns? He owns the Sleep Number mattress.
Ah.
So that explains everything right there. The first thing that comes up is sleepnumber.com when you bring up Mattress Max store.
Well, I know what I won't be buying.
All when they're $1,000 a mattress. Kind of hard to buy. Just to see how much. Anyways, moving on. I'm curious how much for my bed is now.
Next on was Furniture Talk.
Yeah, Furniture Talk. Not buying his mattress due to the price. Wow.
Yeah. We're now a home-based show. We're going to talk about home improvement.
Anyways, what's next on our list of topics?
How upset are you that Josh Gaddis is no longer at Michigan and now he's at Miami?
Well, I mean, it sucks, but good for him. Like, Miami as in university in Miami? Or the NFL
Miami,
team?
down in Florida, University of Miami.
Well, I guess if he wants to go to another college, so be it. I mean, that's a shit move. My personal opinion. I think he had it better off at University of Michigan than Miami. I mean,
he is joining Mario Cristobal's staff to have the same job as offensive coordinator.
So he made a parallel move to go to a shittier team.
With the articles and interviews that I've heard, this is just based on what I've heard. People are saying good riddance and adios. They did not care for him too much over at Michigan.
I mean, I guess. My argument is he was part of the team that just went to the national semifinals before losing. They beat Ohio State.
And that is one of my arguments too. Is he was part of a great team that brought a great offense that actually looked like Michigan football in a long time that I haven't seen in years.
Yeah.
But it you're not gonna win a lot of administrations and players over if you're just gonna shit on them the way you did.
Well, yeah. Exactly.
But with the rest of the coaching staff staying and not following him like he wanted, I think Michigan is still going to be in good contention with their offense. And what I personally think Harbaugh should do, if he hasn't done it already, is just promote from within,
Oh,
and
I
then
totally agree on that.
and then hire a coach to coach a position group. I think you should promote either the tight ends coach or the running backs coach to be the offensive coordinator or co-offensive coordinators so that they're both involved because they both know what they're doing, or be the tight end and wide receivers coach, or hell, be even all three and let them discuss what they want to do as an offense.
Yeah, I definitely agree. He has the staffing to be able to fix this hole and fill this hole. It's how he chooses to go about it, or if he even chooses one of them, or goes outside and brings someone in.
Right. Because if you were to look back, look at where most of Michigan's offense came from, the run game.
Yep.
When was the last time that you and I can remember that Michigan had a great running game?
It's been a while.
I don't remember the year.
I don't either.
Michigan has not had a running game like this in a long time.
Yep.
So and that is my argument to make the running back and tight ends coach co-offensive coordinators and bring in the offensive line coach to say, hey, this is what we want to do because it worked. Let's keep doing it and building on it so that we can continue to have success on the ground and be a threat on the ground so that our pass game can open up and our wide receivers can make plays.
Yeah.
That is the direction I believe Michigan's offense should go.
Agreed.
Hire from within, promote from within, and then hire a coach to coach a position group.
Yep. I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with that. 100%. Well, it was his choice. Jim Harbaugh's going to have to do what he needs to do to make sure that they have the same production as they did this year. And then they're going to have to build on top of that. It's all that can be said for that.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see how spring ball is, and I'll definitely be keeping tabs on it to see what kind of fixtures they make and what still needs to be done.
Yes, yes, definitely. But with that being said, we are on to your probably favorite sport that we always talk about and is in full swing. They're in the second half of their season, the NHL.
Over this last week, just before the Super Bowl, the NHL had its All-Star Skills Competition and All-Star Game. And I'm going to jump right to the skills competition because there were two events that were added because it was in Vegas. And the two events that were added were the Fountain Face-Off and the 21 on 22. The Fountain Face-Off was held outside of the
I think it was Caesar's Palace.
Caesar's Palace, yes, where you had to chip a puck into different spots along the. I don't call it a river.
I'll
It's
be right back.
but that was one of the most unique skills competitions I've seen in a long time. When you have eight guys, when you have 8 guys all in the competition and competing for the fastest time,
Right.
it's extremely hard to do.
Well, yeah.
And when you bring in 3-time Olympian Jocelyn Lamoureux Davison, that adds a little bit of pressure.
Well, yeah, especially since she did it in what? 14 seconds?
Yeah, she did it in she had the third fastest time with 16.253.
Okay, yeah. Either way, it floored me that she did it so quick, and there was what, a handful of guys before her that did it and couldn't do it under 20.
Oh yeah, this was hilarious.
Yeah.
You had Claude Giroux, Nick Suzuki, Mark Stone, Jordan Eberle, and Jonathan Huberdeau all go over 20 seconds. Jonathan Huberdeau almost made it to 40 seconds before getting to 4 of his targets.
Yeah.
But when you have 2 guys like Zach Werenski and Roman Josi in the mix, watch out.
Yep.
Those 2 have quick hands.
Yeah.
In the first round, Zach Werenski made all 4 targets in 15.163 seconds. Roman Josi did it in 11.8. 11.8.
Yeah, that's fast. That's hitting each target and not having to go back to it.
And basically, you're shooting the puck without looking to where you're going. You're moving from one target to the next without missing a beat.
Yep.
That's incredible.
Oh yeah.
The 21 on 22. I don't know if you ever saw this.
Yeah, they were pretty much playing 21.
Yeah. 5 players faced a full deck of oversized cards set up on a rack. The shooters had to reach 21 without going over and do it in as few shots as possible, similar to blackjack.
Yep.
Each round was won by the first player to reach 21 or whoever had the highest hand. The first player to win 2 rounds won the event. And apparently, Dallas Stars forward Joe Pavelski likes to go to the casino. Because
who doesn't,
he
though?
just couldn't miss.
Yeah.
He had an ace on the first shot and then a 21 on the second. So you get an ace and a 10 in 2 shots in a matter of what? 5-10 seconds?
Yep.
Like, how much time did you practice this?
Yeah.
Or are you just that good at blackjack and you're just like, I'm going to aim for my target and I'm going to win big?
I think it's a little bit of both. Somebody knows how to play blackjack and somebody knows how to play hockey too.
This was probably one of the most entertaining challenges I've seen in a long time. In previous skills, they've had the rink challenge, I think, where you shot it from the upper deck of the seats, would try to make it into the net at the other end of the ice, or just the variations of creativity that happens outside of the normal skills competition.
Right.
This was one of my favorites by far.
Oh yeah. Most definitely. It puts a little fun twist into the challenges.
Oh, absolutely. And so with those two being brand new, I would really hope they continue to do variations of that because it seemed like that got a huge response, better than the other competitions that were held on the ice.
Yeah, I agree. I think if they don't do similar, I think when it comes to the skill competition in the future, it needs to be something where they put a little fun twist into it instead of just doing the normal.
Yeah. The save streak was won by Tampa Bay Lightning goalie Andre Vasilevsky and Maple Leafs goalie Jack Campbell with a streak of 9 in a row.
Wow.
And that is basically shootout rules.
Right.
So in regular shootouts, you don't see a whole lot of save streaks.
Yeah.
So with those two combining for 9 saves total is pretty impressive when you think of the skill that you're in a company with.
Well, yeah.
The hardest shot. I have yet to see a shot go harder than 108 miles an hour that was broken a few years ago. I believe it was Zdeno Chara back in, I want to say 2016 or 17. No. Zdeno Chara was in 2012 when he hit 108.8 miles an hour. It was Shea Weber in 2016 with 108.1.
Okay.
Nobody has yet to reach that mark. But Victor Hedman of the Lightning won this year's hardest shot with 103.2 miles per hour slap shot.
Jeez.
That's a hard puck coming dead at you.
Yeah, that's solid rubber going right at a goalkeeper.
The breakaway challenge is a fun shootout competition where players can do tricks and perform different variations of skill and comedy and other jokes that they might have in their heads. And Alex Petrangelo is the hometown hero with this one. Not sure if you saw this, but he brought down the drum corps and he wore a drum to march out to center ice before he took his shot.
Yeah, I did see that.
You bring out the hometown hero like that and you basically just do a pregame performance, competition's over already.
Yep.
Hometown fans are going to love you. They're going to vote, and you just can't beat it.
Yep.
I will say the magic trick was
cool.
pretty good. That was one of my favorites.
The dodgeball one was pretty good too.
Yeah, the dodgeball. That was great. Yeah, going back to a movie reference like that.
Yeah, that was pretty good too.
And then the Hangover reference.
Yep.
From Alex DeBrincat and Derek Carr. Like, these guys only have, I think, 24 to 48 hours to come up with what they want to do because they don't get told what they're doing until a couple days before when they're already at the All-Star game practicing.
Yeah.
So with only a short time to come up with what they want to do, these guys sure have a lot of creativity, and they sure have a lot of fun with it.
Yep. So moving on, we have obviously the All-Star game. Did you end up watching that?
I watched all three, and quite honestly, it's become boring.
Yeah.
When it first came out, 3-on-3, it was just like you would see it in a regular game. It was fast-paced, exciting, and it was nonstop. Now, it was almost as boring as the Pro Bowl
Really?
because it is slow skating, passing around, and trying to find an open shot, and goalies are just like, let's just have some fun. I'll let one in once in a while and not really do much.
Ugh.
It is now a slow game.
That's not good.
Yeah, I almost turned it off because it was so bad. And hockey's a game that I don't like turning off.
Yeah. So for you to want to go, well, fuck it, kind of makes me wonder.
The two semifinal games ended with scores of 5-3
Another goal in this last.
and 8-5.
Jeez. Yeah.
No,
High scoring
six
games
to
on
four.
something that shouldn't be high scoring.
Well, it could be high scoring because it's fast paced and the goalies can't catch up to the puck.
Right.
But what I don't like is the fact that the goalies are just sitting there going, I'm just going to let them in because it's their time. And, dude, it's also your time. You're there for a reason because you're a good goalie.
Yeah.
Show off some of your skills. Like, I just don't know.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, for them to have that skill, the goalie that is in the net needs to be skilled well. Otherwise, you shouldn't even be there.
Yeah. Like, this is a show. Now, it goes both ways. Yes, the skaters and the defensemen show off their skills by trying to do some cool stuff on the ice during the game. I get that. It's happened. It's great. But when you don't do your part as a goalie is when it kind of falls apart.
Yep.
Because you are named an all-star by your fan base because you've done so well. And now in an all-star game, you're letting it be to where you now suck.
Yeah. Or at least you're making it seem like that.
Yeah. So I think this needs to be reevaluated and go back to the way it was when it first came out. Fast paced, exciting, and action on both ends.
Yeah.
Here's a way to make it exciting. 10-minute periods, fast pace, and after a goal is scored, take it out of that net and go back up the ice. Don't do a face-off.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just let it keep going.
Kind of like backyard rules.
Absolutely. Yep, backyard rules. You put that into the mix, that could make it for a more exciting All-Star game.
Well, I could maybe see it going back to East versus West too, instead of having what, 4 different teams.
Yeah, they separated each division to a subdivision.
Yeah, I've seen this.
So in the West, you have the Central Division and the Metropolitan Division. And in the East, you have in the West, you have the Metropolitan and the Pacific.
Yep.
In the East, you have the Atlantic and the Central.
Yep.
Go back to East versus West. And, like, you could continue to have the 3-on-3, but just extend it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Have the 3 goalies back instead of just 2, and have each goalie play a period.
Yep.
Let it be a normal hockey game that takes about an hour and a half long, rather than a 2-half hockey game that takes 20 minutes total because there's nothing going on. It's a running clock.
Yeah. Like, I'm sitting here watching the Atlantic and Central game, and honestly, I see what you mean by boring. That's the first goal came on a breakaway.
That wasn't really a breakaway.
Yeah.
He's literally, if you want to call it jogging, go for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't see much excitement there.
No. He didn't put any effort into it. Neither did the defense. Neither. So.
And this is where I believe the article that came out a couple years ago, last year, the year before, asking if 3-on-3 was stale. I think after this year, it has officially become stale.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree.
You have to protect the game, and that is not the game of hockey.
No, not at all. Like, those are easy goals going in. Those are goals that the goalie should have blocked. Like, yeah, I'm disappointed. Moving on.
You like the Winter Classics?
It's a lot better than the All-Star game.
I would, yes, 100%. Guarantee that now. Fenway Park will be hosting another Winter Classic.
Nice.
The Boston Bruins will host the 2023 Winter Classic at Fenway Park. They will do so 13 years after they previously hosted back in 2010, when they hosted the Philadelphia Flyers and they defeated those Flyers in 2-1 in overtime.
Okay.
I'm excited for this matchup, whoever it may be, because it's at Fenway Park. Yes, it's a repetitive, legendary ballpark or sporting arena.
Right.
But people will go.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Bring the attraction. No matter where it's at, people will go to these games.
Well, it's the thing is they could easily put any price tag on those tickets and people will buy them, which that's how it should be for the All-Star game too. But the way the All-Star game has gone, I ain't gonna spend that kind of money to watch guys half-ass a game. Where the Winter Classic, excuse me.
There's 2 goals on the line. That's a meaningful game.
Well, exactly. And they're all into the actual game. They don't half-ass it. So it's worth the tickets to go because you know you're going to get an actual game, not overpaid players that got voted by their fan base to play in these games and do these skill challenges, and now they're going to half-ass it.
Yeah. And the ticket prices, look what happened with look what happens with the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
People are paying tens and thousands of dollars for the nosebleed seats.
I wish I could afford a nosebleed seat. I was looking at ticket prices for nosebleed seats right around $3,000 to $4,000, and they were sold out. I'll even do you one better because it's coming up. It's part of our next thing we're going to talk about, the Daytona 500, coming up in a week or so. There's already been news articles out that venue alone is sold out. And tickets for that are just like the Super Bowl.
People are willing to pay to go watch legendary events. And that's what we have. Hockey is bringing legendary venues a hockey game.
Yeah.
I wish that they could put more games outdoors.
Oh, yeah. Agreed.
I think there should be a few games of a season outdoors and have it be like the outdoor challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's only a matter of time, or I hope it's only a matter of time, before it comes back to the big house.
Oh yeah, I'd love to see that again.
And if it comes back to the big house, you and I are going.
Oh hell yeah, we are.
And I'm not I'm not placing a budget on there.
I wouldn't either.
You, you had this most recent Winter Classic played at Target Field in Minnesota in sub-zero temperatures.
Yep.
You had beers freezing before you could even drink them after they were opened.
Yep. You took a
You
sip of your beer and you were drinking pure alcohol out of it.
Yes. And when you see players' facial hair frost up in a matter of 5 minutes just out on the ice doing warm-ups, that is a priceless memory, and that takes away the price of admission.
Yep.
Greatest game that was ever invented outdoors, Winter Classic.
Yep. Agreed.
Do it every year and have a couple games a year outdoors. Don't have to call it the Winter Classic, but just have outdoor games.
I think the best saying that fits most of these like major venues for professional sports comes from the movie for that MLB movie. I can't think of the name of it, but if you build it, they will come.
Field of Dreams.
Yeah, Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. Look at the Winter Classic.
Exactly.
They came up with the Winter Classic to where they are playing outdoors, like the original hockey game was played. They kept it there, and look what is happening. It is sold out year in and year out without a blink of an eye.
And every team wants to be a part of it. Every team wants to play outdoors.
Yeah. Yep.
That is how big it's gotten.
And speaking of like pricing, I'm looking at Daytona 500 tickets right now that are being resold for upwards of $900 to $1,000, depending on where you want to sit. So the Super Bowl and the Daytona 500 is a very good comparison in the way of ticket pricing. You go because it is a venue that is legendary, known for that sport, and you're willing to pay whatever the ticket prices is to go to that venue.
Yep.
So,
And look what's happened in the college game.
yeah.
A couple years ago, it was Chicago and Boston at the University of Notre Dame Stadium.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, Michigan played Notre Dame in Notre Dame Stadium that same year, just days before or days after that game.
Yeah.
You are bringing the college game outdoors as well, and that stadium filled up for a college game.
Yep.
Could you imagine playing a hockey game in front of that many people as a college kid, let alone an NHL pro?
Yep.
That is just like the same environment as Notre Dame or Michigan would have playing on a football field.
Oh yeah.
Same amount of fans, same cheering, but it's on ice.
Yep. Yeah. It is, for the lack of words, amazing what if you put the time and effort into something that is by the organization to put on for the players and the fans, they will show that they appreciate it. You don't put that time and effort in, like the All-Star game for the NHL, as I've recently witnessed, they're going to start losing interest. They're not going to want to go. Both for the fans and both for the players because, okay, yeah, I won a few skill challenges and then I goofed off on the ice for 20 minutes to 40 minutes, depending on if we won our game or not. And then I went back to my respective team to get ready for the second half of the season.
Here's an idea for the duel in the D. You bring in all the Michigan hockey teams. Michigan Tech, Western Michigan, Michigan State, Michigan, Ferris State, and a few others that are in the state of Michigan. Put the duel in the D inside Ford Field.
Yeah.
Fill it.
Yep.
Guaranteed it'll be filled.
Oh, yeah.
You have that you run that tournament and figure out who's the best hockey team in the state of Michigan.
Now, I'm guessing would be, well, at the time was Joe Louis, but I'm guessing that's at Caesars Arena then?
Yeah. Little Caesars Arena recently just hosted the duel in the D between Michigan and Michigan State.
I'll do you
And-
one better because I know it has more seats. Put that sucker in the big house.
I say yes, but we're not quite looking for home advantages here.
It wouldn't be home advantage because it's on a football field still. And
But
a
it's
bigger
fun.
arena than University of Michigan's hockey team is used to. I guarantee you those seats will fill up.
Oh,
Guarantee.
there's no doubt there's no doubt it would be. There's absolutely it'd sell out. The only thing is, it's Michigan's home town. It's in Ann Arbor. So what my thing is, go host it just a little bit south, so that you have to stay in hotels, you have to stay and transport by bus and everything like that. Also, it's like an away type of experience
Right.
for both sides.
I mean, I could see it either way. It wouldn't matter where you put that tournament at. It's going to fill the stadium. Plain and simple.
3 of my cousins went to Michigan Tech, all within 7 years of each other. And when Michigan Tech hockey played, that whole school showed up.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind that that whole school will bring buses and just people will pile up in
I
their
was going to
corner.
say, you'll have people carpooling from that school just for those games.
Carpooling illegally, I'm sure.
Oh, easily.
I mean, look what happened when we were in school.
Yeah. Not
How
gonna
many
say
times did
anything
we
that
go-
it's going to incriminate myself, but yeah.
How many times did we see visiting fans pile into a car and exit out of their car when Ludington would come to Manistee, or when we'd go to Mason County Central, or vice versa, or even
yeah.
Cadillac.
Yeah.
Like wherever we'd go, there'd be standing room only.
Yep.
Whether it be basketball, men's or women's, or football.
Yeah. Yep.
Like you could not move without running into somebody 2 steps ahead of you.
Yeah. Like I said, it's phenomenal what could happen if you do it right and put the effort in so that it's an enjoyable thing. And that's for any sport. Pro, college, or high school, or rec. You put the time and effort into it to make it enjoyable for the fans and the players. They will keep coming and returning to that sport, to that venue, and you won't have worries. You don't make it enjoyable. You don't make it eventful. They're going to stop showing up because they're going to start losing interest.
Yep. So, speaking of venues, Arizona recently signed a contract for the 2022-2023 season.
Yeah, with who? Who is the lucky... Well, I don't know if I should say lucky SOB, but lucky SOB that got this contract.
The Arizona State, University of Arizona State. So the Sun Devils multi-purpose arena will now be used to play the Arizona Coyotes home games through the 2024-2025 season with an additional option for the 2025-2026 season. For the next 3 years, the Arizona Coyotes will leave the city of Glendale and go to Arizona State University and play their home games.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
You have AHL team, you have American Hockey League arenas, and even some. What's the league that Saginaw in Flint is in?
I'm not sure.
I want to say the OHL, but I'm not Ontario Hockey League, but I'm that not 100%. But you have small leagues like that have more seating than this.
Yeah. How would you like to be known as a NHL player playing in the smallest arena in the NHL? I know I wouldn't.
No. So my hope for the Coyotes is that they figure out this project that they want really quick, because I know for a fact the players aren't going to want to go to this arena every day and play in front of so few fans, because their fan base doesn't deserve this.
I mean, they have upper deck there. When is this photo taken?
The approximate capacity is 5,000 seats.
Okay.
You see 5,000 seats at a rec game.
Yeah.
I think there's 5,000 seats inside Munn Ice Arena in East Lansing.
I think there's 5,000 seats in the lower bowl of Caesars Arena.
So I'm hoping that Arizona can get this budget project that they want to build a new arena so that they can have a permanent place to play.
Yeah. Yeah. Little Caesars Arena holds 19,515 people.
That's 5,000 seats in a matter of what, 7 sections of the lower bowl? Yeah. So, great job on your financials, and look what happened to you.
Yeah.
But as far as financials go, at least you're not doing as bad as the Montreal Canadiens.
Well, yeah.
They are in the middle of paying 3 head coaching contracts.
How do you... Some people are just retarded, I think.
The former head coach, Dominic Duchamar, was in his first year of his 3-year contract with them, which paid him roughly $1,700,000 a year. So the Canadiens have to pay him that for the next 2.5 years. They are currently still paying former head coach Claude Julien $5 million a year until the end of next season. Or this season, excuse me. On top of that, you're paying your current interim head coach his salary.
That's just ridiculous.
Do you not trust the coaching staff once you hire him in?
Apparently not.
Like, you're going through 3 head coaches in a year. Where's the error coming from that you don't like what's going on? Yeah, I know they're losing. Big deal. You don't fire a coach halfway through a season because a team's losing after his first year.
Right.
Or during his first year, for that matter. I don't see colleges coaching their brand new head coach halfway through the season because they're 0-6.
Right.
Hell, you don't see them being fired after they go 0-12.
You don't see them fired in Detroit at Lions until their fourth season going 0-16.
Nope, don't see that. So, Montreal must be nice to have some money that you're paying around.
Yeah.
Like we said against the mattress guy, throw some our way if you want to throw money away.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here.
Clash at the Coliseum, NASCAR.
That was interesting. I enjoyed it for the most part. I think the highest speed they were going was like maybe 80 miles an hour. I mean, that was quarter mile track. A lot of action because there wasn't a lot of room for the cars on that track. You're talking quarter mile track and 22 cars on it. The one thing that really turned me off to it was the fact that they put it at the Coliseum over a legendary venue that, in my mind and opinion, shouldn't have been touched for anything.
Yeah, when I heard about this last year, I had mixed feelings because of that reason. And watching this race made me realize why it was a stupid idea, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, there was no room for cars to move, and it was a quarter mile track. So you go 80 miles an hour at the most.
Yep.
That's not NASCAR.
No.
I honestly fell asleep during that race because it was so slow.
I didn't really fall asleep, but it was more or less the fact that one, they had to do like 3 or 4 heat races to get who was going to be in the main event, which NASCAR's never done. And
it was the college football playoffs. You have 2 semifinals and then a final.
Yeah. And the fact that they did it on a legendary field that, for the money that they put in to put in a temporary track, could have been put into maybe finding a track that still existed and bringing it back to life.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I saw the infield. There was no infield.
Oh, no. They didn't even have pit row.
Which goes to show how personally, again, it was a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's a great thought to bring it to a legendary venue like that, but you got to think of space.
Yep.
Where are you going to put the cars for pit row? Where are you going to put your spotters, your pit crew, your truck, and the garage?
Are practically sitting with the frickin' fans.
And let's say an accident does happen and you want to fix your car to get back out there. You got to push it all the way outside the stadium to go to your garage and then push it all the way back inside?
Yeah, you didn't. If you were wrecked to where you couldn't repair it, or it had to be repaired, you were out of the race this time.
And that's not right.
No. So, Yeah, it's one of those things that it's like I like the idea of a short track. They could have done it someplace else.
Put it in a larger venue that actually could have done something.
Well, exactly.
Don't put it on a football field.
No. Anyways, NBA trade deadline or deadline deals. Would you hear?
There was a lot of talk going around, and oh my gosh. The 76ers and the Nets made a huge deal
I
before
heard.
the season.
I heard. It sounds like a massive deal.
The Philadelphia 76ers gave away Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round draft picks so that they could get Paul Millsap and James Harden.
Jeez. I mean, that's a hell of a trade, but is it worth it?
Apparently they think so if they want to get to the finals.
Well, hopefully that deal works out for them.
I'm kind of going both ways. I hope it does, and I hope it doesn't to make their general manager look like an ass for giving out 2 first-round draft picks and those 3 star players.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Harden alone is probably 4 out of those 5 options
Right.
because he doesn't go cheap.
No. Not at
And
all.
I think you just threw in Paul Millsap as collateral damage just to add to the deal, so you wouldn't have to give up 5 things for 1, and you're giving up 5 things for 2 now.
Right.
But that was the biggest deal that came across my timeline, aside from the Celtics and the Spurs trade that went down
Right.
the same day. The Spurs just gave away Derek White to the Celtics, and in return, they get Josh Richardson, Romeo Langford, a first-round pick, and a first-round pick swap.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I'm not mistaken, the first-round pick swap, just you 2 switch positions in the first round when the year that you're drafting. Is that correct?
I believe so.
So, I really don't see why you would throw that in there. Especially since it's like the NBA is a draft lottery now, is that right?
Yep.
So that's almost pointless considering the fact the draft lottery doesn't apply to your pick position until that year. So you don't know what you're picking until that year comes out. So let's say in 2028, when you did this first round pick swap, the Spurs get to pick 5th, and the Celtics get to pick 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're just switching 4 and 5 spots. That doesn't really make a lot of sense unless you were hoping for an early pick rather than a late pick, like an 8th round, like an 8th selection over a 32nd selection.
Right.
But how can you predict how that would come out 6 years ahead of time?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Did you read about this 4-team trade?
No.
The Bucks, the Clippers, the Kings, and the Pistons all went in on a 4-team trade before the deadline.
Jeez.
So the Milwaukee Bucks get Sergei Ibaka from the Clippers,
Mm-hmm.
a second-round pick from the Kings, a second-round pick from Detroit, and cash considerations from the Clippers.
Okay.
The Clippers would get Rodney Hood from Milwaukee, along with Semi Ojeleye. So both those players come from Milwaukee, and then they get Vanja Marinikov from Sacramento.
Okay.
The Pistons get Marvin Bagley III from Sacramento. And that's all they get.
Right.
But the Kings come out with a second-round pick from Detroit, David Micheliniu from the Clippers, Trey Lyles from Detroit, Josh Jackson from Detroit, and Dante DiVincenzo from Milwaukee.
Okay.
You have a 4-team trade where it looks like Detroit and Milwaukee were both sellers in that.
Jeez.
Because the Bucks only got one player and a couple draft picks and some cash.
Right.
Where the Pistons only got a player.
Yeah.
And the Pistons gave out only 2 second-round draft picks, but they gave away 3 players for 1.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm curious to know who comes out on top with this 4-team deal. I really am.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It'll probably bite them all in the ass, and we'll be laughing at them in the long run.
That too. And I mean, the Clippers have cash to give away, so they have no problem sending that around the world.
Oh yeah, exactly.
But
And speaking of Pistons, Diallo scoring without his shoes. I mean, for the Pistons, scoring is already hard enough. He had to leave his shoes at the other end of the court. Jesus.
during that game, he went for a steal, and one of his shoes slipped off his foot. So he played defense with only one shoe on, and then when the Pistons ran up the court, he grabbed his one shoe with one of his hands and was trying to put it on while he was in the right corner key,
Okay.
close to the out of bounds line in the scorer's table.
Okay.
Well, the ball was being passed around on the left side of the court, so he thinks, okay, I've got time to try and put my shoe on.
He did,
But-
apparently.
No, that shoe was tough to get on, so he just threw it off to the scorer's table and got into the action. Caught the ball outside of the key and just popped a 3 and drained it, no problem.
Right.
And he went back on defense and played about 20, 30 seconds left on defense before they finally blew a whistle, and he was able to get his shoe back on.
Jeez. Well, let's watch it.
Ime Udoka wants to see some more ball movement here. Not like that. Good hustle by Marcus Smart. Keeps it away from Joseph. Going to be an open man somewhere. Grant Williams from his office.
Not affected at all by the contest of Stewart.
Marcus Smart turns a Detroit breakaway into a 3 for Grant Williams. Those 5-point swings make all the difference. Diallo, a rare 3.
They don't have a shoe on. He made that without a shoe.
He did.
Ball's got to find Smart. The guy didn't have a shoe.
Instead, Jalen turns it over. Diallo not even joining the play here, and Grant makes a terrible play, giving away points. Celtics have numbers and a defender without a shoe. Tatum, the miss, Rob to follow. Meanwhile, finally the timeout comes as Diallo played the last minute without a shoe.
A minute.
And the Pistons and Jeremy.
A minute that he took and played without his shoe on. I'm sorry, I ain't gonna do that. I'd be putting my shoe on. I don't care how much they freaking pay me.
Like, I remember back when I was in school, and we hated hitting the weight room the day of a game because it messed up our shot.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the balance that you have trying to readjust yourself when you're trying to shoot a 3 with only one shoe on.
Yeah.
That takes some pretty good skill.
Yep. Yes, it does. I'm surprised the refs didn't call a timeout, like a TV timeout, something, so that he could get his shoe on, because I'm pretty sure that could have been a little dangerous playing without one shoe on. It's definitely not smart.
No, but I don't think this has happened before for that long of a time. So I don't think there's any rules against that, like there would be in hockey, where if you lose your helmet, you have to go right to the bench instead of playing. Or in the NFL, like if you lose your helmet, you have to sit out for one play or whatever the case may be. I don't think this is going to happen very often to where they have to make a rule.
Well, it doesn't even have to be a rule. The refs should have noticed it and said, "Oh, timeout. You got to get that back on," because that could have been an easy rolled ankle.
Oh, absolutely. It's this should be something that should be talked about and discussed in referee meetings and the beginning of next year, and be like, okay, if this ever happens, officials timeout for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever the case may be. Let him put his shoe back on, and then we'll resume play.
Yeah.
Just like you would if there was an injury.
Yep.
Official timeout, everything happen, let it get taken care of, and then we'll go back to play.
Yeah. So, because he could have, his foot could have been stepped on, and the only thing that was protecting his foot at that time was his sock.
And that doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Maybe a little cushion. That's it. So, it's phenomenal that, one, he hit the 3, and 2, he continued play, even though he really didn't do much. But it could have turned for the worst at a moment's notice without that shoe on.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, player safety is what it really comes down to when you get to the professional levels.
Yep.
And like I said, like you and I both said, it just talk about it, figure something out so that the worst doesn't happen if this happens again.
Yeah.
Because we all want, everybody who loves the professional sports, no matter what sport it is, wants to see their guys or their team play for as long as they possibly can.
Yep.
And the players, even they want to play for as long as they possibly can.
Yeah, they definitely.
Let's help make it happen.
Yeah. And by just those little things could make a difference in a player's career too.
Yes.
So it's like I said, kudos to him for one hitting that 3 and making it. He barely jumped off the freaking ground. I don't think they were planning on him making it with him not having that shoe on. And kudos to him for continue to play, continue doing his job to the best of his ability on the court without that shoe on. But at the same time, it's like, okay, the refs had to notice that there wasn't a shoe on him because the one ref kicked it off to the side. At that point, the ref should have been like, oh, that's not safe. We need to make an official timeout so that he can get that back on. Or they can substitute somebody in so he can get off the floor to put it back on and get right back into play.
Yeah.
So, I guess it's a double-edged sword with that. So, I guess with that, unless you have anything else you would like to talk about, sports-wise or other,
I've got nothing on my agenda.
I don't mind. So, with that being said, remember everyone, have a break, have a sport, and thank you for joining us.